Alpha damage is something that many have within World of Tanks, but many don't use right, and today's replay is going to showcase what Trollstar here is going to be able to do in the KV2, and this is just a crazy replay in terms of the amount of damage he manages to pull off, and also just how well he can utilise the alpha damage of this tank to be able to perform, to be able to win his team the game, and also be able to impact the most he can possibly make against the opponents. Now then, how does Trollstar actually impact the game to what you'd expect from said KV2? Well, it is starting off by removing the hit points of the ELC, or at least trying to remove the hit points of the ELC, only managing to track/damage the tracks of the ELC because he went side on, but nonetheless picking up 400 alpha, and hopefully with this little shot on the VK he may be able to get a shot in before he gets taken out, but unfortunately he doesn't, and now he's in the scenario where he is going to have to push the town, and that is exactly what you want to be doing in the KV2. You don't want to be holding back, trying to snipe with a tank that has god-awful accuracy, especially in the KV2, which really becomes so much fun when you get up close and personal, and when you're really seeing how the impacts of your shots are just dealing and devastating the opponents that you're coming up against. Now, with the side shot on the KV1S right here, we're about to see what happens when you pen, and that is exactly right here what you see all of the time with the KV2, and why it is so devastating, and why alpha damage can be one of the most effective things in the game. Albeit, you know, you could have this high DPM where you're playing in something that, you know, fires every other second and has super high DPM, but effectively you're not able to utilize all of it because 90% of the time you're not up against anyone. And you can see here Trollstar, he is going for the proper damage within this game. He's not trying to go for the minute damage, he is after the ultimate price and sacrifice from the enemy team, which is of course taking them out of the game, and that is exactly what he's managed to do, picking up 2 enemies destroyed already within this replay, and there will be many more to come, as well as many more amounts of damage coming out of this game as well. So with Trollstar in this sort of position, the Hellcat makes the ultimate sacrifice, and goodbye, good night, and back to the garage for you. Now, that's something that obviously no one wants to see, and no one wants to be a part of, but for the KV2, it's just the ultimate machine, and really when it comes down to tier 6, you can pen most tanks, even with the lack of penetration being just 86mm. If you can pinpoint the areas of tanks that have the weakest armor, which is of course what most people try and do within World of Tanks, you can take them out. And even when you come up against heavies at the tier, like a T1 heavy that gives you the side of their turret, you can take them out as well. And picking up 860 damage in one singular shot is something that no other tank in the game probably has the ability to do. There is no other tank really that is able to take out one whole tank in one shot, other than things like the KV2. And even when you look at things like the ISU 152K, which can whack out a ton of damage in one singular shot, it just doesn't even compete with the KV2 down at tier 6, which is probably why so many of you enjoy watching replays on the KV2 and just getting involved with one of the most inaccurate tanks on World of Tanks, which is, as we talk about the KV2, but it does have that ability to just remove the hit points of pretty much any tank that you come up against, should you aim correctly and should the RNG go in your favour, which is ultimately what everybody kind of hates about playing the KV2, or at least that's the one downside of playing the KV2. Now the other downside is for the enemy team being taken out so easily, and now you can see here the Boogie is now moving forward. He's trying to get around and to take out this KV2 that's being a nightmare for his team, but unfortunately for the Boogie, Trollstar is now reloaded in the Trollstar, and it's going to be good night for him as well. And it just takes a turn for the worse for the enemy team. He's already picked up 3,715 damage, and that continues just throughout this game. And we're up against 6 opponents on the enemy team. Obviously his team are winning by just 1 tank, so he can't afford to be too aggressive, so he needs to be aware that other tanks are going to be getting spotted. And the one tank on the enemy team that is always so satisfying to take out is of course the artillery, the SU-8, which gets removed. Now he spots with a keen eye the Wolverine, which is on 445 hit points and obviously well within the ranges of being taken out in one singular shot, and so he's moving towards him. That he knows obviously that there are multiple tanks over in the field here. We don't know where the Jagdpanzer IV is. We've got a T-50-2 who's pushing up from behind, but he doesn't care about any of that, and that's because he's a KV2, and that's exactly what happens when you play in the KV2. It's just you can demolish enemy team so easily within World of Tanks. And 4,000 damage in a KV2 is not something you see every day, and especially since he's picked up 9 kills, which is pretty much everybody that he's hit with the KV2. So that pretty much sums up this tank. It's just easy mode when you play in this tank. Should you pen, of course, if you don't pen, you can still do 500 damage to the side of the Valiant on the enemy team. Now then, having done 4.6 thousand damage in a tier 6, remember, this is a tier 6, it's looking like the enemy team are just in a bit of a terrible position. Now we have the T-50-2 who obviously doesn't want to lose to Cap, so he's going to try and reset, and hopefully he does, at least from the point of view from Trollstar, because he wants to be able to get the rest of the enemy team. He's on 10 kills within this game, which is of course a Pools medal already, and with the T-50-2 underestimating the fact that the KV2 has aimed his way, then yeah, looks like he gets taken out as well. And 11 kills down, we've got 2 opponents remaining. Can he manage to pick up the final 2? Well, that's down to you to decide, or at least down to him and whether he can manage to connect this shot here on the Jagdpanzer IV. Of course he can. Why not when you've got the RNG going in your favour? 5.3 thousand damage done in the KV2 is a manic result, and one that I really did enjoy watching. Of course, if you enjoyed watching as well, make sure to subscribe, because we have plenty of replays coming up that are just as good as this one. And of course, thank you very much to Trollstar for uploading it to the What Replay site. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to check out others, there will be 2 links to some really great gameplays, one of them being the Turtle Muck one and the other being the Kranvang. Hopefully you enjoy those, and I'll see you there. Goodbye.